computer. Okay. All right. Welcome to the Rational Frontier, my friend Ronnie. And Ronnie is an artist. He is an objectivist artist, and he is applying the objectivist theory of aesthetics to his own art and producing magnificent works. And I would now allow him to introduce himself. So go ahead.
Yeah. So my background is actually I took a bachelor in classical painting in the Art Academy in Genoa in Italy. And then I took a master in contemporary art in Oslo, in Norway. So I have kind of both the classical part in painting and then more contemporary art education. And I've been working many years as an artist, doing different shows and doing my thing. And yeah, quite a development.
Yeah.
And and of course, when it comes to aesthetics, that's my main thing. Of course, I see this philosophy as a constellation of bigger Aristotelianism, which I started to read about some years ago. And the development of there is some bad things, there are some good things. But of course, objectivism is like really the romantic manifesto is really strong there and is amazing. And I discovered that and that influenced me a lot. But I mean, also other things, there's not everything I agree with. There's something I agree with, but it's the essentials. And it's also very similar to Aristotle. I mean, like when you look at Greek art and you study mimesis, Cercis, the old painters, what the myths are, and you know the myth they painted a grape, and then the real bird came and tried to eat the grape. So it's like the first time a bird would see a realist painting or something. It's kind of interesting. So there is Pliny the Elder, a Roman writer that wrote about it, and this is true things. And from the old Greeks, unfortunately, we have no paintings because all the paintings were done on wood boards with tempera, and those are all gone. And you can imagine the myths of those. You know, when you see the sculptures that they found, it's amazing stuff. And the technology, if you want, of realism, it was definitely philosophical, but it was also cultural. You know, it's very complicated. You know, some people they like that the Greek painted the sculptures, but of course in the Renaissance, when they rediscover this kind of realism, they knew that, but they preferred to have them non-painted as a more minimalist aesthetics through harking back to neoclassical. So all of this stuff is interesting. I'll be showing my work, which I've been on lately.
And go ahead. Please show your work.
So we'll do one thing at a time here. So here we go. This is the first one. So I was thinking to go through some definitions first. So according to objectivism proper, though, art is a metaphysical recreation of reality according to the artist's metaphysical value judgments, right?
Yes.
So for many years I've been doing photo, and then when I combined it with painting, I started to paint my photos first in acrylic, but then later I started to work digitally. So most of the works I'm going to show here is digital painting. And so first I start with tracing out the photo in just a regular way, and then I fill in color. And I can zoom in a little bit here so you can see it deeper. And talking to Sulu some time ago, before his AI art video, he was talking about, and I totally agree with everything about that stuff. That's really cool. And it's amazing that people write about it, talk about it. But I had a point that is really interesting to me from this aesthetics is the sense of life and the psychoepistemology of the brushstroke, which in the Romantic Manifesto, the example of the apples, that the artist shows their soul or something through the brush stroke, rendering this, applying clarity or unclarity. And this became very important for me personally. Not everybody agrees on that, of course, in this aesthetics, because like AI art, you can prompt and have a high editability and render image to selectivity. If you make a movie, for example, there is no brush strokes, but in the context of painting, I think the low time preference, for example, that it takes to make a painting, like maybe a week or a month, is super interesting, right?
Yeah.
But of course, I'm not mixing. I know how to mix color from oil painting and acrylic, which acrylic is very difficult because it stiffens really fast. But with digital painting, I found the freedom to combine this. To work a little bit faster, but also keep my own style inside, you know. So I was thinking just to go really fast through the some of the ways to analyze the image. So you have the subject, which here is a car, which is and the style is realism, okay, and the theme is kind of open. But for me personally, it's flourishing, technology, car, movement, freedom, reflection, the light bulb, which is inside the car, light, enlightened, and engineering, design, all of this kind of constellation of things I'm thinking about when I take this photo. And I also add something that I don't find within aesthetics of specifically the Romantic Manifesto, is composition. So for me, I'm working a lot with minimalist composition, which I think is really personal to me. So it's kind of like a blow up. Of course, you don't see the whole thing, but as a compositional thing, it becomes more minimal. So it's realism, but it's still minimal. And I can go to another work. And then I'm going to jump a little bit back in time and show a work that I did some years ago. Let's see if I find it here. Okay, here we go. Which is an oil painting. Of course, very different, but I was still thinking about the similar ideas though, because of course, in her text, she talks about abstraction and realism in style, right? And we know abstraction can be analyzed in a way of being disconnected, more Platonic, more Kantian, and all of these things. But my disagreement is that, like, for example, a painting of cosmology, of like a constellation, is both abstract. There's spheres and is geometric, but it's still a reality, and it has this feeling of exploration, let's say. But here I was thinking about using digital information data, which I crunched into processing, is this visual coding language. And then I made this abstract picture, almost like a computer shading energy snapshot. And then I painted this as oil painting. So it's the same method traced out and then slowly rendered in oil paint. So I show that I can also, that's where I come from. But of course, now I don't work in this abstraction completely at all. Now I only work in realism. And let's get back to clarity. And then I painted this building, which is in the city I live in Italy, which kind of stuck out as the only, it's not a skyscraper, of course, but the only building that kind of sticks out of this city is kind of, it shows to me the kind of ambition of this, of doing that, when everybody in the neighborhood say, fuck that, nobody wants this NIMBY idea, not in my backyard, you know, but they managed to do this at least. Kind of cool.
And it shows to me as well, right? Like it speaks to the achievement of like the individual achievement, right? Like these people were willing to do that. And like the way that building looks in that painting, I really like that painting of yours, because the way that building, like it comes out of the city and it's reaching for the stars, right? Like it's almost like a fist raised up, and it's like I really like
that. Yeah, now you're on the theme, that's the theme. Yeah. And a cool story with that, when I showed that in an exhibition, I think it was last year, I got invited of the owner of the building.
Oh.
After I showed it, into the top floor. He didn't buy the painting. Maybe it can happen, but that was cool. But he was kind of like flaky, disappeared a little bit on me, but it's a cool backstory. Yeah. And some newer works, which I drive motorcycles too, so this is more personal. And of course here I liked the kind of the elements of the metals, the titanium, the steel, and the composition is here again minimal. This is the more direct. This is some of the latest works. So reflection again, these kind of things. Yeah, and also inspired quite a bit from painting. There is this movement called photorealism in painting, which is a totally different thing. Okay, they don't care so much about aesthetic philosophy in this way. There's a whole constellation of people doing different aesthetics, but at least the way of them keeping the realist skills is really cool into that movement, of course. And in composition, in minimalism, there's this artist from the 60s, I think, called Georgia O'Keeffe. She was working with flowers, kind of in this feminist line of painters, but nature, like just flowers all the time. It's okay, but not my thing. But just the composition, I think she's interesting, because when everybody was going abstract for real, like very platonically abstract, like Agnes Martin and those minimalists doing stripes and call it a tree, which whatever. But she kept to the real thing. She kept to the realism, which is kind of cool. And she said, I want to do that because I want to keep to the real. And she was pretty clear about that. She wanted to still show the poetics of reality. And that's also very important for me.
Yeah. Did she come to that independently, or was she at all like influenced by Rand's philosophy?
No, she very independent thing, and she mostly painted nature and thematics, a little bit more like skulls and more, let's say, primitivistic, kind of naturalistic themes, I say. And then is the latest work that I did of a boat on this resin sea in Norway, which really captured my attention, specifically composition and the metals. This one was the title Aluminium Vessel, because these boats are made of aluminium to be super light. So I think that's kind of cool. So I can zoom in a little bit. You can see the handwork.
And it's like, it speaks once again to like, in a lot of your art, like I can see an appreciation of technology and engineering, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. That's really important for me. That my subjects needs to be really connected to the good things, things that we make, that helps us in our lives. I think that's really important, which has been a subject that that artist has really not really focused on for many years for many reasons. Both postmodernity and different philosophies out of that is much more like let's say focus on negative topics and also very negative to progress, and kind of dismiss many of the things that dishwashers maybe is a good thing. I'm not going to make a dishwasher painting now, but you know what I mean. Many people use dishwashers every day, but then they say, no, we want to go back, we want to not use so much electricity and all these kind of things. But I mean,
like, it's very anti-human. I think Rand talks about this in her anti-industrialist, I don't remember the exact name of the article, but I think it was the anti-industrialist revolution, I think. And
that one,
and like she talks about how
and that
like the lives of everyday people are like so vastly improved. Like the time is so much time is saved, and the people who are for all of this environmentalist stuff, like what they are literally calling for is like the lives of, let's say, the world, like the most vulnerable of society to be significantly worse, right? Because
that's the irony of it. Like with the energy growth, we feed the world, right? So is the absurdity of wanting less energy is definitely going to lead to more suffering. And yeah, that essay is really strong, and it's sometimes since I read it, but it's really worth it. Somebody's interested in those topics, and you can see herself. She was a writer, of course, not a painter, but as an artist, she really knew how to capture how aesthetics and art is not disconnected from ethics. It's not disconnected from economy. It's holistic. It's all connected. And this is a personal discovery for me too, that ethics is connected to that. And of course, the ethics beyond wanting to make the better utopian better is in postmodern relativist terms would be, degrowth, whatever. But you see, on a deeper level, ironically, that leads to the worst conditions. So, and we've seen it before in history, So that's inspiring too. And the latest work, I'm just gonna go through the portfolio here. Which the color combo is a little bit more. You recognize that, the black and the yellow. And with the pink, which is a complementary color, is kind of cool. Pink and yellow. No, purple. I mean, sorry, purple and yellow. Of course, the original has better resolutions, but I have like when I paint, I use like a big size because I want to print them eventually. But this is a JPEG render of that. So yeah. So this car was wet, and I kind of captured his raindrops and shit. Reflection, you have the building in the reflection, which is kind of interesting to me. Then we go on here. This was more like a self-portrait. It was a couple of years ago I did it, or 1 year ago, which is actually an AI rendered image first. This is not a photo. Because I couldn't take a photo of myself. You could stage that, but I wanted to make an AI image, and I used Midjourney, doing a lot of prompting, used maybe actually 1 month on trying to make the perfect picture, changing everything, every I selected everything, color, this, that went back and forth. So with AI, you can select a lot, and you can create exactly the photo you want realistically. But then, of course, I painted it. So yeah, it's like in the night looking over the city. So I think it was kind of poetic. And I just mentioned that. And I mentioned that first. Like, I won't call myself like a romantic realism. I would call myself poetic realism, because I'm less allegorical. I don't care so much about allegorical images. I care more about the daily experience of the poetic reality in front. Because romantic realist painters that like Brian Larson and those, they're really cool. Their work is amazing, great painter and all that, but it's much more allegorical. Like in space, there is like a setup of people, and it's more. And also the Greek artists were a little bit more allegorical, also actually.
And
so
go ahead, Brian.
Because allegorical, you kind of stage a kind of stage image in a way, but with poetic is in front, is you poetically engage with reality in a way. That's how I see it. Not to be confused with the French cinema called poetic realism. That's another thing. But and then in a show, I showed it on screen, the previous image, just on my iPad, which I work on. But my idea is to print them in specific sizes, bigger prints in high resolution, like a pigment print, which is the best type of way to print it. And if you print them, they become scarce. They become one copy, right? So you can have one exemplar. But as a digital painting, they are copyable, and of course they're not scarce. They're not a scarce resource, And as art, like we discuss IP, I don't believe in that shit in that sense. because but when you print the work, then it becomes yours.
Scarce.
Yeah, because you homestead that work. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But the positive thing,
go ahead.
No, the positive thing of the positive thing of the fuck it. The positive thing of a digital art is that it is unentropic. Okay, so in the old you painted, this deteriorate. There's a huge amount of money spent on conservation. But if you have a digital painting, it's potentially can last forever, right? It's unentropic. The binary data is the information, and I think that's very fascinating. It's something that was not written about in the 60s when also Rand was alive. But you can imagine what she and many other philosophers could write about digital art. It's kind of interesting, especially painting. Yeah. And what were you supposed to say? Sorry, I cut you off.
No. I was saying that even though like I would say that these works would be copyable, I would still say if someone is copying them, they should like try to make sure that you get some benefit out of it, just as an ethical principle that you are the creator and without you the work would not exist. And so
exactly.
like there should be like I don't think like of course like I'm not for IP as well, but I think there should be like a ethical norm that we follow, in which that if you're taking someone's work and like you're copying them, like the recognition that this person is still the creator of the work, it should exist in the fact that if you're benefiting it from it in some way, you should like share some of the profits with that person.
Yeah, and of course online I show not the original version, right? I show the more lower resolution version, and I have my own full version, which is very important. Which is like the TIFF, and that's a huge difference, right? You can't really work so much on a non-original when it's lower resolution, really. But I mean, like I actually like an original painting today, most people take photo about it. Like all paintings today eventually become photos, and then they put them online, and then it's like, oh, don't copy my photo because come on, it's good that things spread. It's good that things are out there, and but like I agree totally what you say too. But that's about it's about ethics.
It is about ethics, and like I agree. And it is,
but also ownership and ownership of the thing, and of course you have to earn a living, right? You have to earn money. But today there's many ways to do that. You don't necessarily need to earn money exactly on selling the painting directly, but of course that's always been like the artist is an entrepreneur in that sense, with my own company. So and I wanted to show just fast a little bit of the process which I go through on the news painting, which is another cityscape that I'm working on now. This is how I start with a photo and then I trace it out. So this is a specific part of the city, which is like new development. And I think it's super interesting with a mix old and new buildings, but it's really well done with huge areas. And it's mostly like private, and I think that's cool. And the next one, I think it's this one. And then I do like a color test from the original, and I trace it over. And I work with color. I love that, to see the colors work together. And then next one. And then I just fill in. And I put the painting on the side the way I would do with oil painting, and then I start to fill it in. And I can zoom in, zoom out. And with regular painting in the studio, it smells a lot. Even acrylic smells a lot. So the beauty of digital painting is I can go to a cafe, for example, and just work all day or something. So I'm more flexible in the way that I can schedule my workday. I don't need to stuck in the studio with bad smells and that.
The paint smell can really get to you after a while.
Especially oil smell. Like those old oils when I went to Art Academy, that was wild. Because back then they were using turpentines and that. Really toxic.
Yeah.
Now they don't do that. But it was a huge, there was like a huge building with like hundreds of students copying a flower with a professor like, don't do that, do it like this. Light and shadow, you know. And of course, like the city, Genova, is one of the three Renaissance cities that is sometimes like my girlfriend is from here. That's why I'm here. I'm originally Norwegian. So yeah, and Venice and Florence is the cities that is most known for Renaissance, but also Genova, even though less art, but it is a good art academy here, and Christopher Columbus came from here.
Yeah.
So it was one of these three merchant cities when in the Renaissance it came up. Yeah.
I think the Florentines did the banking, and the Genoese and the Venetians did the shipping, right?
Genova did banking too.
Oh, there. All right.
Yeah, with the Portuguese. Yeah, it's a wild story. That's the whole shipping and that the emergence of the traders is so interesting. The emergence of the trader class after the medieval era.
Yeah, and that you could always see that as like the beginnings of the roots of capitalism, right? Like,
oh yeah. Absolutely. And I think there is a link between them wanting to like, what art should we buy? We are inspired by this. So going back to the Greek and going back to who are we, in not this kind of nationalistic sense, but being the city state, they were like exploring, we like to travel, we like to trade. We are doing our own business here. We don't care so much about the past in that sense, but specifically the Greek, when they started to buy paintings, and there was a market for that, and I think that's why it came up too. And also technology, you know, Leonardo da Vinci, he got hired to do technology innovations in different ways from these families, Medici family, and which was trader families, shipping, and
and
Silk Road, the original Silk Road.
I saw that Netflix special they did on the Silk Road, like the Marco Polo thing. I don't know if you've seen.
Interesting. No, I must check it out. I know a little bit about it, but
yeah, it's
Netflix,
pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, okay, cool.
And
I don't do any subscriptions, but I don't like the subscription model. I prefer to pay, and then that's it.
And
but thanks for the
and I would say part of the, like, I would say it's not a coincidence that these city states that developed in Italy and during the Renaissance, like, they were traders and merchants, right? Like, they were explorers, and they were doing the exploration for the purpose of entrepreneurship and getting rich, right? And it makes sense that then that wealth flows into patronage of the sciences and the arts, right? Like, it would be.
It's
go ahead.
No, back to how art kind of works, right? So art is a fuel. It's a fuel of life. So it's in the medieval era when Christianity had total spiritual control, philosophical control. Let's say not completely. There was pockets of. Was not totally dark. In the late medieval, it came up Aristotelian writings and things like this. It was kept in certain ways through monastery writings and stuff. But the main thing, the power, the power ideology and the thing was faith. And you shouldn't make an engraved image, right? So it was like no realism, no beauty, it was just cartoon figures and shit, because they forgot the technology of doing this, how to do 3D. It was very suppressed, let's say. Civilization collapse almost. And then when it came back again, what inspired them was Christian themes, even though the artist was inspired by the technology. So you have like painting thousands of paintings of Jesus that these families wanted to have as a fuel for their spirituality as a late medieval people. That's all they knew. But slowly you see through this progression, you see also in America when in the colonial family starting to buy, I want a portrait of my daughter, I want my portrait. And it started to go away from this kind of like, oh, this Jesus picture, even if it was realism, towards another fuel, which was boats, friends, family, and commissions that was much more private, much more personal, much more atheistic, if you want, not so religious.
Yeah.
But the beginning of all of the themes that was purchased was mostly religious, and because that was inspired them, and that's what they bought. Because back then there was not the economy flourishing we have today. Artists back then, if you didn't kind of work according to this thing, it was very difficult. You had to earn a living by painting what the commissioner wanted, you know.
Yeah.
In sculpture too.
And you could almost see that. Yeah, go ahead. Like I'll not.
No. It's I've been talking too much.
I like it. You have a lot of knowledge. I really like when you're talking. Continue.
Yeah, amazing. No, yeah. Back to the how art works is inspiration. Like on a base surface is maybe a interesting example. Let's say you're a fisherman and you love to fish. That's all you do. Your business is like a small fisher boat. You love that. You're super inspired by that. It's like you would want to have like maybe boats and fish on your walls because that's the fuel of your life. Not everybody does that because not everybody knows how art works, but that's kind of like an example of how actually art works, right? It's the positive fuel that inspires you because concepts and ideas are made into precepts. Ideas became images that inspires reality. The feedback loop into each other. So if you have a kind of like a mystical, platonic view of like this kind of, there is, yeah, you know what I mean? Then maybe you want like this, only this, you know, Rothko?
Yeah.
It's like abstract painting, which is just ethereal, and it doesn't have any relation to reality whatsoever. Just like a floating abstraction, as you want. Because that's maybe what is inspiring from you. And like Jackson Pollock, he was that abstract painter who did this splatter paintings with bad paint. He used the paint that you use outside of houses, which that's why they get destroyed over time. But yeah, he was alcoholic, very high time preference, let's say.
Yeah.
And I just wonder how that maybe inspired him in negative ways too, but these kind of like just whatever, just fast splattering kind of things, you know. And then of course if you have a lower time preference, then maybe you prefer to work slower, more detailed and stuff like this.
Yeah. And you know, like one thing that reminds me of was I think some months ago I went to this you know, museum sort of like there was this the name escapes me, but there was this postmodernistic Indian artist, and then like he used to work in basically what he designed himself in a cave-like area, and you know, like that reminded me a lot of Plato's cave, you know, and it felt like when I was walking inside of that region, I was walking inside of, you know, what he thought in his head, you know. And it's very, as you say, like very, you know, mystical. It's with a lot of these people, it's very abstractions detached from reality, you know. And that's like there is a, like once you know like these things in philosophy, you can spot them in art, in the sense that that's where that's coming from, right? Like that's exactly where that's coming from.
And another level to that, that's interesting. But another level to that is, of course, the philosophy of postmodernity. It really the relative way of looking at things, very much the context, like, you know, and the ready-made a toilet becomes artwork because It's just a spectacle around it. So somebody with power can say, no, it is art, and it becomes very expensive. But that's just the context of that. But that's the reality of what happened in art, and that's just how it is. But there is no real objective analysis. You can't do a factual scientific analysis. You can do that, but it's not popular in those fields, right? So, but if you do a proper analysis, like what is the subject, what is the theme, what is the composition, what is the style, even a sculpture as a toilet, you can really come to certain conclusions about, of course, the philosophy of. You can go backwards. You can look at artwork and kind of trace it backwards to the philosophy, and I think that's a really cool innovation then that you have from Aristotelian ideas, which bases his ideas on an ontology that is realist. Okay, some people say primacy of existence. Some people say realist ontology. Like first we are in the reality, and then we look at it, and then we epistemologically gather information. You know, but the Platonic there's all this is opposite in a way. Consciousness makes up the reality, and I think there's a lot of kind of hurtful consequences of that in philosophy. Leads to very subjective relativistic ways that of course loses also a way of analysis. So it's like a trick going on, like with Duchamp. He both is a subjectivist and postmodernist himself, and it's like we want to do all of this avant-garde stuff. Art has become political, art has become a little bit propaganda, and then it's all fun and games. But then again, you can trace it back to that just by looking at a toilet as a sculpture.
Exactly.
And it's very similar to your example of just this cave mystic thing.
Yeah.
Of course, they do what they do. Like what can I say? It's not my thing, but I understand it because I've been like in academia. That's where it started. That's everything. Like I had the gallery that I've been working with in Italy. They knew the banana artist. You know, the artist to put the banana with the tape.
Yeah.
I know a guy who discovered him. Or was a friend with him many years ago. And he's like a Trotskyist kind of thing. There is this really political communist, if you want, link to those kind of postmodern conceptual aesthetic things. And we know banana on the wall is not worth anything, you know what I mean? But it's just the mystic thing of the revelation of the thing, which is bullshit. But of course, different strokes for different folks, I guess.
And you know, it is like, as Rand identified, like like philosophy is so all-encompassing. Like it makes sense that someone who considers a banana on a wall art considers Marxism economics. You know, like it's very similar in that.
It's strange, isn't it? Yeah. But of course, it gives us a tool to I wouldn't say scientifically. Some people say it's like philosophy is science, but I don't really think so. Philosophy is philosophy. But of course, I think you can do better science if you have a better philosophy. So it is interlinked. Because if you have a realist ontology, if you don't have it, you don't get Newton, you don't get Francis Bacon, even though Newton was kind of into esoteric too. But his base logic, of course, was Aristotelian here. We look at the thing, we look at one thing, look at another. And this is the innovation, I think, philosophers like Ayn Rand came up with later, which is not new actually, but she just formulated better. And she gave us a tool to kind of objectively look at a two-dimensional artwork or a three-dimensional sculptural or whatever you want, and kind of trace it backwards. What is the subject? What is the style? What is the composition? What is the clarity? How fast is it made? How slow it is made? Time preference comes in. She didn't call it low time preference and high time preference, though. She called it long time thinking and short time thinking. It's kind of interesting how praxeology and that hangs together. It's just different words.
There's like exactly like I've seen that as well. Like the Austrian tradition and the objectivist tradition, like most of the time they're talking about the same thing with different words. And, you know, so there is that.
I think a personal story is that I think the reason why I kind of developed away from more postmodernity thinking is which I never really embraced completely, because I've always been super much into Austrian economy, and I had some of it in high school too, which really captured. It's been on my back like free market. I always been a free market guy. So going into university and seeing all that woke shit, I was like, what the fuck going on? And I was like, no, this free market has been my star that has kind of guided me, and I think that's interesting. And that was Austrian economy, you know, the autonomous person. You can't just look at these masses and collective things. You have to look at the individual, the human action, which creates autonomous economical calculation problem. That totally smashes communism before it happens, actually. Strange that they tried, you know, because if you don't have the reality in the world is people are doing stuff, trading, doing different things, right? And you don't know what's going on. But so the only way to know it is that the market autonomously do what it does. Then you know what to produce and what to store, what food to keep and stuff like that. If you don't have that, if a centralized authority is going to plan out all of this stuff, that leads to famine. It's pretty clear. Because you don't know what people are going to want to have, how many toothbrushes and stuff like that. It's just disastrous. And that I had that Austrian economy in my back, in the back of my mind for many years. And that kind of was a shield against, I think, a lot of that stuff. So
I agree as well. Like going into university, like before I went to university, I had, you know, Austrian economics and, you know, like kind of libertarian legal theory in my mind. And so like it does shield you, and like it almost like makes you not fully immune, but basically immune to basically anything that they're saying, because you can see that, okay, that like it's basically like I know arguments against this, and I'm you know, I'm armed against this. Whereas let's say someone who, you know, doesn't have that preconception, they have no defense. They just take it all in, and then they're basically years of damage.
Just the kind of mystical Platonic thing, like it's just this philosopher king thing, like equality. The intellectuals need to figure this out, but kind of look down on the autonomy of regular people and entrepreneurs and shit like that, you know, which actually that's the people who run society, small businesses and all that, and that's the real economy, real economy, if you want. And I was into ecology for a while. I still am, like, but because I eat ecologic food, I prefer better food. It's more expensive, but I eat less, right? This is my personal thing. And I prefer less pollution in my city. When I walk around, I prefer natural air, like everybody. But it's like, if you say, no, should we go, we should use nuclear energy for civil use in a safe way instead of making these bombs, maybe, you know? And then it's like, no, technology, no. We should rather kind of do the primitive thing, primitivism, go back to nature and mystical things. And, and one thing that I discovered through Derrida, which is a postmodern thinker, and Jean Baudrillard, which wrote the book Simulacra, which was in the Matrix. It's kind of ironic. He had this theory that the opposite of simulacra stuff, they were kind of closet Marxists, if you want, is ritual. He had this idea, and when I read that, wow, that's it. Like, the ritual thing, that was their kind of. So there is this primitivism lurking in there as what is the thing we don't want is capitalism, because that's kind of free markets, because that's simulation. But what's the truth is the mystical ritual that people do in communities. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. If you read anthropology, isn't in rituals and tribal stuff, there's a lot of abuse. There is a lot of breaking of violation of people and rituals that individuals don't want to go through, but they have to through community pressure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just realized all this French theory is like, oh my God, it's so, yeah, you can't base anything on it because it's not honest, let's say. In the basis of it is like all this equality and ritual and all the kind of thing, egalitarian. They took egalitarita and forget about the rest. And you can't figure out anything proper about that. And there's this French anthropologist called Pierre Clastre, if you know. He was an anarchist, I think anarchist primitivist, and which is totally absurd. Through his anthropology, he just cut out all the bad things and just felt, oh, these people in nature is so cool and all that. And I think maybe that influenced some of the eco movements, that there is this kind of back to nature thing going on. Because if you say to some, it's like, no, what about electric cars? Because it's less pollution and stuff. No, that's polluting the production, right? So there's never any solution here. It's always bad, bad, bad. So, but if they were proper, in their analysis, they would objectively say, okay, fresh air, cleaner stuff, that's free market. We like even ecologic food. If it wasn't for a super free food market, we wouldn't even have ecologic food. It takes too long to produce and all that. So just throw out all the economy theory, throw out all the reason, and I think it's sad that so many youth follow it and stuff like that, and it is what it is. So I'm just saying I'm not like an anti-ecologist or something like that. I must confess I'm into that, but not in that ways.
Yeah.
And also to add to that,
Go ahead.
No, just to add to that, like a property thing. If there's a factory, it's a private property, and they pollute, they invade other private properties with their pollution. So through having a proper way to deal with that, we could also kind of say like, why are you intoxifying my property and stuff like that?
Exactly.
But nobody wants to talk about that though. It's all we have to do it collectively, right?
Yeah, and I was about to actually say that as well. That pollution itself is a property rights violation, right? And when you're polluted, and you could see it in two ways. First of all, there's the history of it. Like before the EPA, there used to be these pollution torts, right? And also, if you look at any free market systems, like relatively, we don't really have a free market anymore. But if you see, let's say, relatively free market countries versus communist countries, let's say, like the Soviet Union was horrible in environmentalism, right? Like they destroyed like there was no tomorrow, and you don't have options. You don't have options in communism. Like you forget forget environmentally good food, healthy food. Like you're lucky if you get food, right?
That's the irony here. We close our coal mines, but there's coal in other parts of the world, So and then the history, like you said, Manchester Industrial Revolution, the Manchester mills. Of course, it was pollution, but through accelerate the production means and all of that, slowly it became less hot and colder. So free markets solved. Like Manchester today is not like that. Okay, they're not as free market as there was before, but that's just the energy and the technological problem they had back then.
Basically,
and child labor and slavery and all of that was horrible. And it is a good thing to think about. But of course, if you dig deeper into the real history and not just see it in these vague relative terms, you figure out that the farmers that came to the city, they used to make their kids work together with the parents. So when they went to factories, they took the kids with them. They wanted to be with them. Come here, work with me. So it was just you can't blame those companies perfectly for that. They brought their kids with them to work, also women to the textile production and all that kind of stuff. So that was a responsibility on them too. But yeah, that was horrible. But yeah, and slavery as a violation of other humans. Where do we have that today? We don't have that in even a mixed economy or more free market places. We have it in places that is not at all having any free markets, right?
Yeah.
So this is something got stuck from the Romans, and then the British traders, they abused people in that way. And that was a horrible plight, but that's not on free markets. That was a confusion they had, but they didn't properly see humans as individuals, right?
Yes, and you can also see that when free markets came around, like these things started to go away, both due to the economics of it, because you can see that free individuals producing freely and like competing freely, that's just far more profitable and far more productive. And also like from the natural rights approach, like no other system can have a moral argument against slavery other than a natural rights system, right? And that's the free
and
market
the abolitionist
system.
And the abolitionists in America is so interesting. The libertarians back then, how they fought for abolition, and I must say also some Quakers and religious people were a part of that. So, but of course, the good side of those religious, because like Quakers are still very individualist and stuff like that.
Yes.
But the libertarians that worked on abolition, yeah, we should really remember that and why they said that. There was individualism. We're all humans, and we have to treat individuals for who they are. And they never blamed the free market. They were free market.
Yeah, they were free markets.
Yeah, so it's very disingenuous. It's not honest to say this is only the market things and stuff like that.
I agree.
So it's evolutionary humanities that comes from flourishing that we solve these problems. And I think that's cool. Yeah, but back to aesthetics. I think those things are linked, and that's really interesting. Both history, philosophy, aesthetics. It's a constellation, holistic way to see it. And if you have a methodology of philosophic logic and reason, and looking and reading history and take it for what it is, you can really find that there is like goodies here that is not really the story you've been told in school or something like that, especially when Industrial Revolution. And we should really give prize to those people that were really brave for doing those things, even if it was very unpopular at the time too. They blamed a lot on the entrepreneur.
Yeah, and despite the entrepreneur making everything possible, including their own careers. So
Edison, Tesla, and more than that, radio, the Italian, I don't remember his name. It was Italian.
Marconi, right?
Yeah, that was cool. Like Italy, and there is some tech going on and things like that, but not as much as it used to be. And I think that's also because too much regulations and things like that. The similar, very mixed. And like the politics
Europe is
now,
not innovating, like which is very, which should be like a matter of concern to the European Union and like both the nation governments as well. Like Europe is not as dynamic as it used to be. It's not as innovative as it used to be. And like they got to step up their game, like because Europeans deserve a good economy, and like sure, like there's all this built up wealth over the years, but like that will deplete over time. Like
it can make you spoiled. It can make you spoiled and not remember the work that came out of it.
Exactly.
Like that's very, thanks for that. And and I think that's also because of intellectuals maybe being very negative to those things, combined with regulations and governmental policies and stuff that wants to maybe more regulate down those things, but also by doing that they kind of clunge the innovational process there. By also selecting what is going to be, and there's a lot of failed projects and stuff with it. With the best way to do it is maybe the American model, latest, that is you let things flourish, and then but of course there's a lot of subsidiaries, there's a lot of monopolies going on there too.
Yeah, but it's better perfect, than anywhere in the world. Like it's better.
Yeah,
of
absolutely,
all the major places, it's better, right?
Yeah, I think about technology, for example, like also both manufacturing, like apropos cars, Europe is pretty cool, but they are falling behind a little bit there. But all the technology we have that makes our life better came from America latest years, and is almost like but also many other things. There is many other things than technology that is important for flourishing too. Not only tech. But in Europe, it's like, oh yeah, they do the tech, they make the chips, they do the things, and it's kind of like this managerial kind of thing. But it would be much better, I think, if it was just autonomous, and then things come up and there was less regulatory thing on that. And then it's more about individuals, not so much like, oh yeah, Europe is that, like this nation do this and that. Like, yeah. I'm like a super individualist. I don't care where in the world it is. You know?
Exactly. But I would love to see, like I would love to see all nations be free and thus freely compete and, create something beautiful. Like nowadays, like the governments, they hamper pretty much, like everyone's running with, 1 foot behind their, 1 foot tied up, it's like they're not doing their best. And so I would like as much freedom as there can be in Europe and the US and India and China and Africa, South America. In South America, there's Malay now. So there's some good happening there, even though he's doing some things that I don't like. But a lot of things that I like. Right?
Yeah, that's interesting. My specialty is aesthetics, but not those things so much. But I can dip my toes in it. I don't know everything. I don't want to speak on things that I don't know really. But it's not my specialty or something like that. But that's interesting. But back to the other thing. I think it's more like a segmented thing. Like that nation do this, that nation do this, that nation. It's kind of like this managerial thing. Like people say, oh, let's look at NASA, for example. That was a success story in a way, but it could have been much cooler. It could have done much better. The potential is there. But it say, oh yeah, they could. Some people say, oh, they couldn't do it without the governments and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not so sure about that. Like we see now that after that, we see that private companies are taking over that and do it much more efficiently. So if we can get back to moon, we can mine asteroids maybe and with new resources. And
and that would be a future worth seeing, right? Like when humanity is mining asteroids, like imagine the increase in wealth that we would see. I hope that happens.
I hope so too.
And
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about that. But as just an artist, I don't know. I know a little bit about those things, but it's not my main field. But it's cool to speculate. And definitely all the conflicts going on, that has to stop, you know what I mean? That's just collective bullshit. It's like border disputes that it's just totally irrational stuff.
And I agree. And I would say we have we've talked for more than an hour. I really like this conversation. So let's call it a day for today.
And really cool to meet you.
I would want
over the detail stuff.
I would want like I really enjoyed this conversation, man. Like it was very enlightening. It was very like genuinely, like you could probably like see the joy on my face from just hearing
me too, man.
Talk. And I loved seeing your work, and I loved the conversation. And I love that we explored all of these topics. Would you like to come back to the channel again sometime in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. And talk more about art and aesthetics whenever you feel, man. Absolutely. And also the other topics, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for giving me opportunity.
Yeah, we could do like art reviews sometimes.
That, yeah. And you select the work, and then we can go through it in detail.
Okay.
I have a pretty good methodology to do that, like I showed you now. The only thing I add to it is, of course, composition.
Yeah.
You know, which is very important. And yeah, absolutely. Whatever you feel.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I
Take
will
care.
see you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.